Hello, my name is Michael Swinford. I would like to welcome you today to this edition of the Veterans Voice. This is a program where we discuss issues which affect veterans and even the civilian community. We also will be seeking answers to questions the veterans might have. Our special guest today is the Patriot Guard Riders of Western Kentucky, and we'll be back to talk with them in just a moment. I'd like to welcome my guest to the studio today. A long time ago, when I was young and dumb, I would see a hearse going down the highway with a bunch of motorcycle riders behind it. My first thought that went through my mind was some big shot gang man ought to died and his buddies on bikes are escorting him somewhere. How wrong was I, Dan?
In 2005, a veteran passed away. And the Kansas veterans found out that there was a group going to protest. And they got together and with permission from the family and the local police decided to try to block that. And the Patriot Guard Riders were formed, and like 2 weeks they had over 500,000 hits on the website. And we're just there to honor the veterans.
So there's no telling, it doesn't make any difference what war or what age they are or anything, as long as the family requests a escort. Is that what you do?
Yes, that we have to be invited, and the funeral homes generally will mention it to the family.
So you just can't pick out an obituary and invite yourself. It has to be the family asking you.
Mm-hmm.
When these people were protesting out there, did that create a conflict between you and them?
Yes, very much so. What the Patriot Guard do is we form a barrier between the families and the protesters. We do it nonviolent. We hold American flag and just form a line between the protesters and the families, where the families do not have to see the signs and hear the protest.
Yeah, I've seen some of the signs, and they can really hurt the family. In fact, it hurts a lot of people. And I don't ever call them by their name because I don't believe they are what they say they are. But have we had any protests in this area lately?
A while back over at Martin, Tennessee, they came and protested a 19-year-old's funeral. And then they were in Nashville a couple of years ago. And all. Supreme Court made a ruling. A Marine dad sued them for $5 million and won, but they turned around and took it to Supreme Court, freedom of speech, and they are allowed to do these protests, but they have to get a permit and they have to stay at least 200 feet away now, and every city and state can add more to it. Tennessee automatically made 300 more, so they have to stay at least 500 feet away in Tennessee now, so that kind of helps.
I can see where there's an issue of freedom of speech, because these soldiers that have passed away fought for that right to be wrong, if you will, even though we don't agree with them. Why they do have the right to do those things, but I would say they're taking a chance too, because there's got to be backlash in the communities that these people go to. So you just rev up your bikes and drown out the sounds coming from these protesters. Do they ever cause you any problems as far as physically getting your face or anything?
Haven't in years. They do sometime. We turn our back.
Yeah.
They're supposed to just show disrespect to them and ignore them.
So how many funerals do you do, say, in an average month?
It all depends. We did, a couple of weeks ago, we did 6 in 6 days. We may go a couple of weeks, 3 weeks without a call. And it seems like they just you know, it's random, and we get different amount of time periods. Sometimes we've had as little as 24-hour notice on a veteran. And when the funeral home calls us and asks us, you know, if we can be there, and we tell them, yes, sir, we'll be there. May not be many of us, but we'll be there.
Richard, do the funeral homes have the information about you, Patriot Guard Riders? Do they know that they can tell this to the family when the family comes in to make arrangements?
Yes, each one that we have had any kind of dealing with, we've left them information on contacting Patriot Guard Riders for different, for different families for funerals. And we not only do we do funerals for veterans, we also do them for what I consider to be service industry, fire and ambulance personnel, police departments. So we've kind of broadened our horizons in that respect.
I was reading not too long ago about a homeless man, and there wasn't anybody who showed up except the Patriot Guard. Does that happen quite often?
It happened in Louisville just a little while back. He didn't have any family, they couldn't notify any family, couldn't find any. And Patriot Guard stepped in and they took care of his funeral. My uncle passed away 3 years ago. He was the oldest World War II vet in the state of Kentucky. He'd outlived all his friends.
Yeah.
I called the Patriot Guard. They came in, they did the pallbearer's responsibility, and it was great. And I've just been real appreciative ever since then.
Would you ever do a funeral for a civilian that has no veteran experience or wasn't in public service? Would you honor that request by the family?
I would have to ask higher up where it's supposed to be just for the veterans or, let's say, the police, fire, and ambulance.
Well, it seems like that's a full-time job anyway, just about.
Yes.
We would do a Patriot Guard rider,
Yes.
which 2 out of the 3 of us are not veterans. Me and Dan, neither one are veterans. Richard served, but I've already asked the Patriot Guard to stand for me when the time comes, and they will, and me not being a veteran.
Are there a lot of Patriot Guard Riders that aren't veterans?
Yes.
But they embody the concept of the Patriot Guard, is they're there to honor and to help the family in any way they can. And are you ever slowed down by heat or rain or anything?
Yes. Weather sometimes, a lot of times if it's stormy looking, we'll just drive vehicles. And we have some that don't even ride motorcycles. So they come in vehicles, but like when it's hot weather, our donations get by new flags and by water. And as senior ride captains, we'll take a cooler with some ice water in it, something like that to kind of help out.
So you really don't charge the family anything?
It's totally
But if the
on our
family
own.
wants to make a donation to the Patriot Guard, then you'd accept that?
Yes, that
Because
goes for
it
flags
takes
and
money
water.
to keep those flags flying. I've seen you all go down the interstate, maybe 30 or 40 of you sometimes. I noticed there was even one motorcycle that actually had a casket holder behind it that they had made. And I was really impressed by that. People that like to ride, they're not all gangsters. There's a lot of good riders out there. But what are some of the other groups that you are surrounded by at some of these functions?
The CMA, which is Christian Motorcycle Association, and all the motorcycle clubs in this area especially have come to us. We really appreciate what you're doing. If there's anything we can do, just let us know, and a lot of times they'll come stand the flag line with us.
Well, that's good to know, because we've always heard there's conflict between biker organizations, and for them to come and volunteer their service to you is good. It's a good thing.
We've never been confronted wearing our vest anywhere we've been. Like I say, the clubs welcome us. They know what we're there for, and they've never given us any problems about wearing our so-called colors. Our vest is what the club members call your colors, your back patches and things. We're not a 3-piece patch, so we're not claiming territories, but we are worldwide or nationwide, especially here. So, but we're not in any conflict with any of the clubs, and they understand that, and they respect us for that.
Well, you're in a very rare position then, because most clubs or organizations, there's a little friction there
Yes, sir.
over, like you say, territory or procedure or whatever. But it's good that everybody's working together for a common cause. About how many veterans or how many bikers with the Patriot Guard are we have nationally?
There's around 1,800 in Kentucky and over 300,000
Wow.
in the United States, and it grows daily. We just met a gentleman right before we got here that saw our vest, talked to us, and wanted to sign up.
Well, that's good. So your vest and your outfit and your bikes are really an invitation to join if people are so inclined to do so.
Yes.
So
That's what we want people to do, is if they see us on a bike with our banner on it that says we're Patriot Guard, or if they see our vest with Patriot Guard on it, we want them to ask us
Yeah.
what we're doing, so that we can explain it and they can understand, and that kind of gets us out more.
You was talking about Randy said you had served in, what branch of service were you in?
I was in the Air Force.
In the Air Force?
Yes, sir.
Well, we've got your flag up back there just in case even if you change service, we still have your flag. What did you do in the Air Force?
I wasn't in that long. I just basically went in and was discharged because of medical problems.
But you did your duty, you went. That's the important thing. It's not what you do as important as did you do anything. And there's a lot of people out there today are riding free on Freedom's train without buying a ticket. And I kind of have a problem with that myself. I don't know about you guys, but if someone is living in America where it's free and we have rights and whatnot, and they don't pay anything for that, you know, freedom's not an inheritance. You don't get it from your parents or grandpa. It's your responsibility to pay your debt to your country. Even if you're working in a soup kitchen at the mission, that's paying back part of that debt because of the sacrifices that American flag has gone through. And when you carry the American flag at the funerals and the escorts and what, that says a lot about who you guys are. Has the public come to accept you as being a part of the overall veteran experience?
We get a lot of people. We generally, after a funeral, a lot of times we'll go somewhere and eat because we've been most of the day. And we have a lot of people see our vest and come up, I just want to thank you, you know, or something like that. And like with Randy and I, the lottery, we didn't go to Vietnam. You know, if we'd have got drafted, we would have went. This is our way of thanking y'all and thanking you and taking care of y'all now for what you did for us.
Well, as a veteran myself, I deeply appreciate that. And I know my day will come sometime down the road, and I would look forward to you guys being there. I say guys, but do you have women involved?
Oh, yes. We have, you know, quite a few women. We have some senior ride captains that are women, and so I don't know what kind of percentages there is, but we have several that come stand the flag line and, you know, have different.
So you have an organizational structure. I hear about senior ride captains. What level do you start out as?
You start out as just a normal member, which in Kentucky, especially in our area, we have an email list. When they join, we put them on our email list, and when we have a mission, we send out the email. And like I said, a lot of people will say, well, how many will be there? And I can't tell them. It's nothing mandatory. When somebody joins, I tell them, I say, come to what you can come to, what you can't, there's never nothing said. Because people work, you know, people's got families, but we always have a good turnout.
So there's no obligation to take part. It's
no
strictly on
obligation,
your
no
health
cost.
and what you're doing or have to do many times.
And you're all on your money, though. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
we ride bikes, but it's not mandatory. You can come in a truck or a car, walk if you have to. But it's all on you.
I remember reading about a funeral that was held somewhere in, I think it was Graves County, I'm not sure. But as the man was laid to rest and the Patriot Guard was standing around the the burial site, that there was an eagle that flew over the gravesite and circled 2 or 3 times and then went to rest in a big tree. It was like the eagle knew that there was something going on, and maybe the eagle was inquisitive, but I prefer to think that was our eagle. You know, the eagle of the United States, our symbol of power, and that was one of the most impressive things I've ever seen, I believe.
Very touching.
I've seen doves too fly past the gravesite or around the gravesite, and a lot of people try to rationalize that as just a coincidence, but I don't really believe it is. So, but it was a fitting touch to this man's career because he had served honorably, faithfully in multiple wars, and if anyone deserved credit for doing that, this man did. And I can just imagine how his family must feel, knowing that no matter what he did or didn't do, that there were people at the end that were standing up for him. And that's got to make any veteran's family proud of this Patriot Guard. And now that what about younger people now? You guys, I'm not trying to say you're old, but you're all younger than I am, so. But do you have young people coming up through the ranks that'll be able to take over for the older people?
We do. We have some, I can't tell you how many that we have, but I do know Randy's grandson, am I right?
Son, grandson.
Grandson, John's son.
Daughter-in-law.
A really young man that comes when he can and stands flag line with us, and we're proud. And you have a granddaughter too that does it occasionally. So yeah, we have people that are, what's John, 12?
Almost 16.
Is he? Okay.
Reagan's 12.
Reagan's 12. So yeah, we have them. We're trying to train the younger ones.
Do you go into schools and spread your message or what you do to any of the like high schools or anything?
We have gone to Reedland a few years ago for Veterans Day, and we speak at the different civic organizations. All they've got to do is ask. We'll do about a 10-minute presentation, and we'll do a flag folding, telling what each fold of the flag stands for while we're there.
So they can call you a biker, they can call you a veteran or non-veteran, but they can't say you're not a patriot, because you epitomize what a patriot does and what he is or she is, because you love your country, you love your flag, you love your higher power, and that says a lot to me that you are indeed American patriots, and I thank God for you, because if you wasn't around, there's no telling what would happen out in Kansas or somewhere else, because there's an element of viciousness in the world today that people want to hurt as opposed to healing. And I think what you guys do is to bring healing to a family, not total closure, but healing sense that that man or woman did not have to die without recognition. Many times we aren't recognized during our service, but to be honored and recognized at the end says a lot about you guys. And do you have any kind of limit on how far you could go?
Not really. We have from Pennyroyal Parkway West is our area, but we go to Clarksville, or we may go on up into Kentucky, you know. But as far as if there's a funeral that we kind of are in charge in, is from Pennyroyal Parkway West, but we may go further. You know, we've gone to Louisville. We went to Corbin, Kentucky once, and that was for Dakota Myers for his homecoming.
We'll go to Memphis, down in Tennessee. We do a lot. Nashville. We've done several down there. I would like to say too, Mike, you and your wife both have stood flag lines with us. A lot of people don't understand. Most of us will wear sunglasses, and it's not being disrespectful at the funeral, but we cry. It's hard to go, and it's hard to explain that you go to a man's funeral that you never met, don't know any of the family, and you'll cry at his funeral. And I'm going to say 99% of the Patriot Guard Riders will say the same thing.
Yeah.
Which there is a poem out, and it's talking about behind the shades and the leather, and that's what it's talking about.
Do you have a copy of that with you?
I don't have it with me, Michael.
Well, I think you're not crying for the person as much as the whole picture is encapsulated into a small area at a certain time in his life and in his death. And I know when you lose a family member, you cry because they're very important to you. And I think you guys feel the same way, that that veteran is important to you, not where he was stationed or what he did or what war he was in, but the simple fact that he stood up when other people would not stand up. And he honored his country, he honored his flag, and in his death he's being honored. And that sounds like the great equalizer for veterans and those that have served their country. And you guys have served your country. You don't, maybe not in the military or maybe not in the Red Cross or a policeman or whatever, but you paid your dues and you paid your debt. And you're still doing that. And I guess when you get too old to ride a bike, you'll get you a pickup truck, I'm guessing.
Kind of like what Randy said, I tell people, you know, you go to these funerals, we're both on disability, and it's 90-something degrees, and you're standing there, you know, you're getting tired. It's like, I don't know if I can stand here much longer, but you keep trying. Then that family walks by crying, and they stop and shake your hand and thank you for being there. And they've just put a loved one in the ground, and you just kind of swell up, and all of a sudden you got that extra burst of injury. You stand there a little while longer because you know you've helped them get through the day.
Yeah.
And it makes it all worthwhile.
So the cause equals the pain.
Yes.
So it comes out even. I heard something about you guys doing something with the American flag after it was unusable. Would you explain that one to me, Randy?
Yes, and I've got one with me. When we retired American flag, this was started, I'm not sure, I know we got it from a ride captain up in eastern Kentucky.
Started up north.
But we retired the flag, we take the stars off of it and put them in a little baggie, and we've got a little saying on the back, and it says, "I am part of our American flag that has flown over the USA. I can no longer fly. The sun and wind has caused me to become tattered and torn. Please carry me as a reminder that you are not forgotten." And we pass these out to the family members. I give them out to a lot of the veterans when I run across a veteran out somewhere, in which Michael has also gave me in-country beads that he makes. When I run across a veteran that was in Vietnam, I'll ask him, I say, "Were you in country?" And if they tell me yes, I get my vest and I pull out the beads. And they all smile. They know what they are.
Yeah. Well, we as Vietnam veterans, we know our days are numbered. Most organizations have an associate policy or somebody that can carry on regardless. But Vietnam Veterans Associations we know our days are numbered and they're limited. So I think Vietnam veterans as a whole are trying to do more than just do their part. They've served and they served and they suffered and they served and they continue to serve in some function in society today. So I would hope a lot of our Vietnam veterans would think about joining the Patriot Guard. You don't have to be big or tough or even pretty, but just as long as you're there and you believe in what you're doing. And there's a lot of people today don't believe in a lot of things, but you guys believe in what you're doing and how you're doing it. And I thank you as a veteran for standing by some of my friends that have passed away. And I would definitely want you there when I'm ready to meet my maker. Hopefully it'll be a long time from now, but we're not in control of that. And Richard, do you have anything you'd like to add to what we've talked about today?
Not for what we've talked about, but all I can say is, Michael, if I'm still there when it's your turn to go, I'll be there.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. It's not something I would look forward to, but yet I know my spouse would look forward to it, and it would ease her pain by you guys and girls being there. And it'll be a good funeral because we'll talk about the good times that we've had. And I think we have to do that sometimes in death, that death can be a negative or it can be a refreshment of your life and the things that you were able to do. So when the time comes, well, Patricia will be giving you a call, I imagine, and I'll have it all written out for you. It's what I want you to do, and I don't know whether you've got guts enough to do it or not. I can't say, but Patricia will be watching, so you have to take care of that. Randy, anything you want to add to our discussion today?
The only thing, Michael, is you're talking about the Vietnam vets, which that's my generation. I wear man, me and this boy marched in together at graduation. He got killed 2 months into Vietnam. He was a scout. I wear his wristband. You veterans from Vietnam weren't welcome home. Y'all were treated terrible. And a lot of the Patriot Guard, and you said that you thought a lot of the Vietnam veterans ought to join. A lot of them did. A lot of them do, because they said that'll never happen again. These soldiers that's coming home now will be welcomed home, and it won't be treated the way y'all were when y'all came home from Vietnam.
I know as Vietnam veteran, as an organization, our motto is never again will one generation of veterans abandon another.
Exactly.
So we've tried very hard to make sure these men coming back from Iraq and Afghanistan, that we do welcome them home and tell them how much we appreciate them. But to put it in perspective, though, we didn't sign a block on an enlistment form that said we want a parade or nobody's going to holler at us. You know, we knew what to expect, I think, because word got back to Vietnam that if you go through this airport, you may run into a problem. But I can't see too many hippie-type dudes picking on some combat veteran that just came out of the in-country. You know, to me, it wouldn't have been much of a fight. But I'm glad you guys stand up for the new guys that are coming home, because they too have their problems. And we thought we were the only generation that had to go through these things, but unfortunately it's happening again. And you'll be standing a lot of vigils, I'm sure, and I thank you for doing that. And it's been good talking to you today, Richard, Randy, Dan. And if I hear of anything that you need to know, I'll certainly pass the word along to you. Maybe we can get some new recruits and get more people interested in it, because there's a lot of riders out there. And I thank you again for what you stand for and the sacrifices you make to honor our veterans.
I would like to say, if you're interested, you can go to patriotguard.org. That is the national site, and sign up or check us out. Or you can go to pgrofky.com.
So
That's
there's
a
no
statement.
dues or
There's no dues,
initiation
nothing.
fee?
You just register and send your name, address, so they will know it'll be on. But if you live in this area, then it will come to us, and we will add your email address to you. And another thing that we get to do, we don't do as much because we're not that close, but the ones in close to major airports, meet and greets when they're coming home.
I've seen you guys on the overpasses as you go down the interstate sometime, and people that know about you it brings a tear to their eye too, to see you guys out there in the heat and the cold, welcoming home men and women you don't even know. A lot of times we have to know that person to honor them, but you guys honor the service, and that is very important in today, and I wish you the very, very best, and maybe we'll have you back sometime. Appreciate it.
We've escorted 3 bodies back, one from World War II that's been missing 50-something years, and 2 from the Korea War. Their bodies were recovered and brought back, and we escorted them from the Nashville airport to this area, 2 in Ballard County and 1 in Grays County. 1 in Grays County just recently.
I sent out a post last night of 6 men that were recovered. Their remains were recovered in 2014. And I've actually taken part in the repatriation ceremony in Vietnam. And our American ambassador was there, and it was a very moving and touching. Of course, you just get a few remains, but sometimes that's enough to bury and provide closure for these families. So once again, I thank you all for what you do. It's been good having you, and we hope to see you again sometime.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.